Dude, when I go to the therapy, I'm not interested in my therapist's problems. I have my own problems, and I pay the therapist to work through these problems. I don't want to hear about your problems. You don't pay me, I pay you. I understand you're a human and everything, and you have your own problems, but that's your job. Don't bring your personal problems to your work. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the bench. Our patient today is 2008 Subaru. We don't know which one, but it's probably Outback. 86.8, I would say that's Outback. But don't go by this number, because you might get surprised. What's wrong with it? Misfire, constant misfire on cylinder number 6. Typical issue. And we are going to perform a 5-minute repair, which is IC608 resoldering. Depending on the condition, maybe replacement. We actually have a ECM for pot coming back because, well, it doesn't work. So I messed that one up. I'm curious what went wrong over there. Especially since the car started and had no misfires and ran for about a minute or so. And then it started reporting a O2 sensor issues on all cylinders, and then lit up like a Christmas tree. So the guys turned it off, and the next day they couldn't start it. So not being able to start, that points to IC608, that happens. But the fact that it did start and it ran for a while, that is kind of curious. I did ask whether there is a possibility that the technician installing the ECM messed up the procedure, but I was assured that that's not the case. And it's not like the procedure is complicated. So this is likely a screw up of mine. So let's try not to screw this one up, because this one is going to the other repair shop, the mechanic. So this is for the client of my client. So we don't want the returns on this one. That would be great. Otherwise I'm gonna need more therapy. Because it does get stressful sometimes, you know. This is a lot of responsibility to get the job done right. That's why I always do it in the morning, with, you know, fresh brain, not tired. Usually my hands are not shaky in the morning. I mean, usually my hands are not shaky, but sometimes they are. Especially when I drink too much coffee. Or more, because I usually drink decaf. I like coffee, but it doesn't really work for me anymore. I used to drink a lot of coffee. That was my drug of choice, coffee and cigarettes. But as I'm getting older, it just doesn't work that well for me. And I actually accidentally stopped drinking coffee because I got sick. I was on antibiotic, and you know, if you're on antibiotic, your stomach is gonna suffer a bit. So drinking coffee is not recommended. So I stopped drinking coffee for like 2 weeks, and then it just kind of, I didn't mind not drinking coffee, continuing not drinking coffee, you know. So it's not like I was trying to quit drinking coffee or anything. I just kind of, once I stopped, I kind of lost the taste for it, or at least I didn't feel like, oh, I miss my coffee. Nah, it's all right. Anyways, speaking of therapy, this video is sponsored by The Great Therapy. We make money. give us your money and we will hook you up with a therapist. Be sure to pay us, because that's our main priority. Not your health, not your mental health, just the money. Yeah, of course I'm kidding. The video was not sponsored. And those therapy places are on the list of things I will never advertise. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the therapy. To the contrary, of course. Luckily nowadays therapy is no longer a stigma it used to be. And we just all understand that, yeah, therapy is good. It's always good to be working on yourself, bettering yourself, right? And therapy is one of the ways to do that. So that is great. But those therapy places, especially those advertised on YouTube, as I mentioned, their only priority is the business. They don't care about your mental health. I went to few, or at least tried. One that is often advertised is BetterHelp, right? I tried them, but I couldn't get anything from them because my name is invalid. Sorry, Raf, no therapy for you. Your name is invalid. That is actually a problem with the, with lead acquisition. You have to find this center between filtering bad data, garbage data, and actually acquiring leads. Because out of two, it's better to get some more garbage data than lose actual leads. And in my case, I was an actual lead, but they decided that my application was a garbage data because my name is invalid. And now, yes, I do have a hyphenated name, so it's nothing new to me. There are often problems of finding my name, and all right. My batteries went dead. These are actually awesome. They worked for a few days now. These are lithium ion AA's with USB-C port to recharge them. Awesome thing. They work for really long compared to regular AA's. But regular AA's will drop voltage as they get discharged. So the device knows that the battery is running low. This one has a regulator and it'll produce 1.5 even until it's dead, and it just goes from 1.5 to 0. So there is a drawback of them, but as long as you remember to replace them, they're fine. So I don't know when my microphone died, so let me just tell you about that therapist I had. I was in a bad place mentally, and as I said, yet you didn't hear me. In Poland, we have a saying that unfortunate things always travel in pairs. If one bad thing happens, then another bad thing is gonna happen, another unfortunate thing. And usually that's because, you know, when you dwell on the failure, then you kind of attract other failures, because, you know, you're gonna neglect other things, or just, you know, feel defeated or depressed about one failure, and that way you're gonna mess up other things. So it's kind of natural that if you dwell on your failures, on your mistakes, then you're gonna make more of them. So I had plenty of problems, right? So naturally I thought, yeah, let's seek therapy. Let's see what that's gonna do for us, right? And as I said, hopefully you could hear me back then, but there's no longer like this stigma that used to be attached to any kind of mental health seeking, right? Like, well, what, you're a psycho, you go to psychotherapist. So since that no longer is the problem, and the therapy is very much available, the availability of therapy, of therapists is larger than ever. It's very easy, but for the same reason, you know, if there's so many therapists, how do you find a good one? And, you know, only one way. You need to go through 6 bad ones to find a one good one, right? No way around it. So I went to the therapy, and the first thing, because, you know, when I meet anyone or I'm in a meeting with anyone, I take notes, right? That is something that sometimes really grinds my gears, especially at work, when, you know, we're in a meeting and I convey something, and let's say 3 points or 3 things that I need done, or, you know, and then the next day, you know, that went, you know, one thing is done, and the rest, oh yeah, I was gonna do that and that. Oh my god, dude, take notes. I don't expect you to remember everything, obviously. I don't remember stuff. That's why I take notes. So, you know, that is just professional due diligence, in my view. Anyways, my therapist. So, an older guy came in a meeting late. 1 minute. That doesn't seem like a lot, but the fact that he's late doesn't really fill me with confidence how competent and diligent that guy is, right? I don't see that as a sign of disrespect, but I see that as a sign of not enough respect, not enough professional due diligence. At work, where I work, there's this joke that guys say that if you come in a meeting and Raf is not in that meeting already, that means you're in the wrong meeting. Because I always come to meetings early. Then I just hang out, waiting for everyone else. Sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes even 10 minutes. And it's not like always. Sometimes I'm on time and sometimes I'm a little late. Stuff happens. So that 1 minute late is not a big deal breaker for me. He made it, awesome. But then I had notes, because I always take notes when I'm in a meeting, when I'm someone. I always take notes. So I took a lot of notes on that guy. Like his demeanor, his behavior, questions, opinions, like every little detail was in my notes. I unfortunately don't have these notes anymore, because they were on the computer that I repurposed for my son to play Minecraft and Roblox. And I just kind of wanted to forget about it anyways. I didn't think I would have to talk about it. But I don't really have anything else to talk about. So we're talking about therapy. So So I had the notes. I don't have them anymore. But one thing was like the guy was like making weird faces as I was talking. That was like really threw me off. He was taking notes as well. So, you know, I thought I think he's a doctor. I don't know. But I think he's a doctor. If not, he's at least a licensed therapist, right? So okay, for our conclusion was that it's gonna provide some material, some resources for me. And since I'm kind of technically savvy and yeah, at least I can Google, I asked him like, well, if you give me some pointers, I don't have to wait a week for a next session to get that stuff. I'll just find it myself. I'm sure it's available somewhere. But the guy said, no, I'll just get it to you the next session. All right, sounds good. I felt, it's not like I felt better after the first session, because as I said, he was kind of weird, not very bad weird. It's just weird. Just not something that I expected. So the next week comes, the next session. Again, I'm in the meeting at least 5 minutes before, and I'm waiting. This time a minute passes by, he's not there. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, even 10 minutes I waited. So after about 10 minutes, I think I just gave up. Then I check my email, and there's an email that he canceled the appointment 3 minutes before the appointment. So that crosses over into like completely irresponsible person. Adults don't do that. Well, you didn't know you didn't have time until 3 minutes before the meeting? That's weird. But, maybe something happened, accident. He's stuck somewhere or anything. But in that case, I would expect you would share that information. Sorry, we can't do it today because something came up, right? You don't have to be too specific about what went down and what the issue is, but give me something. But he gave me nothing. So okay, the second session didn't work. That's fine. Let's do the third session. I paid for the first session. The second session obviously I didn't, because it didn't happen. So then we go to our third session, or second session. In second session, I obviously had all the notes and in front of me, and I was prepared for round 2. Right? Where's all that stuff that he promised me? He brought nothing. He delivered nothing that he promised he would. And the whole session was pretty much the same session, the session number 1 repeated. Like, I kid you not, it was the same session. So complete waste of time. And obviously he again promised the resources for the second time, but this time I didn't really take him seriously, obviously. And I didn't pay, right? I didn't pay for the second session because, and I kept those notes just to defend my point. I didn't record the actual meeting, but I had my notes, and I just felt, the second session didn't provide the value it was supposed to provide. It was just basically the first session repeated. So I don't want to pay. So what they did, they unleashed like literal goons. Have you seen movie Rocky with Sylvester Stallone? Yeah, so that kind of guy. They send people like that after me, threatening me, and like the experience was absolutely awful. And here I am in a bad spot in my life, right? Because if I seek therapy, there's something wrong. I have some problems, right? And I seek help with those problems. But to the company that provided a therapist, the only thing that mattered was the money. And they will not hesitate to completely ruin your mental health in pursuit of getting paid. They don't care about you, they don't want to help you, they just want your money. That's all they want. And they disguise it as, we want to help you. As I said, to find a good therapist, it probably takes, you need to probably go through 5, maybe 6 therapists to find the one that works for you. That is normal, as long as you don't have to pay for all that. But it's like their business model is to provide bad therapists, so you go through some of them first before you find a good one. And don't get me wrong, that's a great model from business standpoint, but from the moral standpoint, it's despicable. Absolutely despicable. It's kind of comparable to those scams that that target people looking for a job and just kind of scamming them, because they take advantage of your desperation, of your, you need them, right? You're in a bad spot, you need them, you need the job. And they use that to scam you. They use this desperation. Absolutely despicable, but I would expect that from scammers. I would not expect that from health provider. And health provider, none of them take your insurance. None of them. Not a single one. I went through many of them asking that question. I have good insurance, good health insurance. So I would like at least for the insurance to at least pay partially for it. But no, they do not accept health insurance. And why do they not accept health insurance? Well, I don't know, but if they were licensed medical professionals, I believe they would. And since they are just business, they don't. It's just another company that is making money off people's misfortune. And that's what kills me, because everybody advertises those therapy-seeking companies as, everybody should be in therapy, and it only means that you're working on yourself and all that, and that is all true. That is all true, but then you actually get into therapy and it turns out that none of that matters to them. That is not their goal. Their goal is just to dig into your wallet. In which case, the therapy can actually do more damage to you than help. Because suppose that you get stuck with the bad therapist, right? I know now that, to find a therapist, I would have to go through quite a few of them to actually find the one that works for me. And I have my preferences, like I don't want my therapist to be a woman. Not that I don't like women or I'm sexist or anything like that. It just, I don't know, it's easier for me to talk about my problem with a man. I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, like I feel like the men will understand me better than a woman. So that's my preference, right? I want a male therapist. But other than that, I don't really have any preset requirements as far as the therapist. So imagine if you get stuck with the bad one. And one of your problems perhaps is that you're not assertive enough, and you're just gonna take stuff as it comes. That is comparable to those predatory loans, the payday loans. It is comparable because it uses pretty much the same concept, right? You need help. We will provide that help for you at a cost. I'm not saying it's a scam, but it's very close to being a scam. Because again, all the ads of the therapists just kind of take this moral high ground that it's good, you should get a therapy, and that is true. Yes, you should work on yourself, you should have a therapist, but not like this. And at least when you go to the therapist, they should at least take your insurance. If not, I'm not saying the insurance should cover the entirety of it, but mine does cover. My insurance does cover stuff like that, but none of those companies take insurance. Nada. And every single one of them say the same thing, that yeah, we're working on it, or we wish we could, but there's reasons and stuff. Every single one says the same thing. So I find that suspicious, and based on my experience, there is a probability that therapy will help you eventually, but there's this big chance that you're gonna have an awful experience with the provider. And what do they provide? They don't actually even provide anything. They're the middleman, right? They just have the list of therapists and their schedules and stuff, and their credentials and everything you probably want to know about them, and they just give your number to that therapist and that's it. And where's our money? They're not in the business of healthcare. They're in the business of making money. Have no illusions, guys. Have no illusions. I'm sure there are horror stories about us seeking therapy. Alright, so my wife called that doctor, if he's actually a doctor, I don't know, my therapist, with all these questions and concerns that I had. And you know what the doctor said? Like with this angrily voice, anger tone, he says, "Well, I lost my father, okay?" Dude, when I go to the therapy, I'm not interested in my therapist's problems. I have my own problems, and I pay the therapist to work through these problems. I don't want to hear about your problems. You don't pay me, I pay you. I understand you're a human and everything, and you have your own problems, but that's your job. Don't bring your personal problems to your work. And definitely don't use it as an excuse to not do your due diligence, miss your meetings, or come unprepared for your meetings, and still charge me and send the goons to extract money from me, even though you haven't delivered anything. And then, like a kid, just blaming, "Well, I lost my father." Dude, you look like you're in your 60s. How long did you expect your father to live? Take it like a man. That's why I prefer men as therapists, my therapists, because less likely they're gonna be emotional, at least on average. But I completely missed the mark on that guy. It seems like that therapist had more problems, more mental issues than I did. My conclusion is, if you need a therapist, you probably go about it as we used to before all this internet nonsense. Just go to your doctor, get a referral, and seek professional, licensed, and insurance covered help. It's medical help. The medical insurance should cover at least a little bit of it. Well, the conclusion, I guess, is that the therapy did help. It did open my eyes to how those places work and how to actually find a therapist and what to expect. I know, because that was my first time, so I went in with relatively high expectations, and I expected a professional treatment and professional service by an adult, but instead I got a therapist, a 60-year-old daddy's boy. I mean, I could understand, because I don't know the actual situation, but it does happen that you said something mean to your dad, and a week later he died, and you're just kind of stuck in this spot where you wish you could apologize, but that's no longer an option, and you just kind of have to live with that. So I don't know if that was the case with him. That would be something that would excuse that, because I can definitely understand that. But still, even if that be the case, the guy's the guy's old. Obviously, if it's not like he's in his 30s. My best friend actually lost his father when he was in his 30s. I think even early 30s. Something like that. So, and he took it a lot better. It was tough, but he took it better than a licensed therapist, I assume. Because I never checked his credentials. I probably should have. And my next therapist, definitely I want to see his credentials. Or her credentials, just because I prefer men, and I don't limit myself just to just to men therapists, male therapists. Maybe, I don't know, maybe women would work even better. I don't know. Never had a woman therapist. I guess the conclusion here, because I don't want the conclusion of this video to be misread as, you know, that the psychotherapy is a scam, or that therapy is not good or anything like that. Definitely seek therapy, but have no illusions. It's not what they say, that it can't hurt and it can only help. No. If you're unlucky, call it unlucky, to get a bad therapist, that might screw you up, brother. That might even be worse. In my case, it was even worse. The therapy did nothing and caused me additional issues. Because they don't care. They don't care. They just want your money. That's their incentive. Not helping people. That's what bothers me the most. If you, just like, you guys heard of the completionist, the Jirard, what's his name, Khalil, something like that. The guy was sitting on $600,000 that he collected over the course of 10 years as donations for dementia research. As he got caught, he donated, but not even to the places he said he would donate, some different place. And and he's trying to rebuild his reputation, which I don't think is gonna happen. But that's what aggravates me the most, when people are doing scammy stuff, or at least not diligent work, and hide behind this under this umbrella of charity work or helping, right? That the BetterHelp wants to help you. No, bull crap. BetterHelp wants to be a profitable business, and if they help you in the process, that's great, but that's not our goal. Or that's not our primary key metric. No, it's gotta be the money. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with making money and, you know, getting paid for work you do, obviously. But, you know, that don't hide behind or don't build your reputation as we're just in this business to help people, and that's our primary goal. And actually, you just sacrifice people's mental health just to extract money from them. That I did owe that money, you know, don't get me wrong, but they didn't have to go about it that way. I thought there would be some kind of dialogue. Why do I not want to pay for the second session? Maybe, you know, yeah, well, maybe let's get you with another therapist, right? And that payment goes to the other therapist. I would be fine with that. But no, just pay us and go to hell. That was pretty much the conclusion. So that's the story of my therapy and my mental health. I will seek therapists in the future once I kind of accomplish some of the goals that I want to have accomplished in the next couple years. And for me, that's the best therapy. The results, the success, the hard work that's paying off. That's the best therapy for me. That solves all my problems. And actually, there was who was it? Jordan Peterson, right? I'm not a great fan of him, but one thing that he said really resonated. That made a lot of sense. Like the guy came in for the therapy, and the questions that were asked were pretty much, you know, how's your situation with your family, your work, and your living situation, and all that. And all of that was crap, like absolute crap. And he concluded that, man, you're not depressed, you're just in a crap hole. That's not depression. You need to fix your life, and then you're not gonna be depressed. And I got the same kind of approach. And if you work hard and you see the results of your hard work, and you're not starving, and you have roof over your head, and relationship with your family is okay, and you know everybody's healthy, you have no reason to be depressed. If you're depressed, then that's a mental issue. You shouldn't be depressed, or you know you have no reason to be depressed. So if you're depressed, yeah, that's a problem of the depression itself. But if you're depressed being in the crop hole, then yeah, just climb out of the crop hole and maybe the depression will go away. You have every right to be depressed when you're in the crop hole. Alright fellas, who is this for? This is for Tom. And actually that is pretty cool. Tom paid me with a check. The check was in the box. So no PayPal, no nothing. I even told him, like, because he couldn't do PayPal because there was some security breach or something like that, so he couldn't do PayPal. So I told him, dude, if you want to put cash in the box, that's even better. You know, tax-free money. But yeah, so he did check. So that's my first job that I got paid with a check, or at least as far as the ECM repairs, because I did get checks for other repairs and stuff, but this is the first time that is online and I'm getting paid by check. Yes, I take checks even if they bounce. I don't care. If you, I don't know. I always open myself to liability of being scammed. And that has never happened before. Everybody who was supposed to pay me did pay me the money they promised to pay. So I had absolutely no issues so far. But it's just a matter of time. Someone will run away with a ECM. Because I usually don't charge upfront. I usually send the package first and then send a payment request when the package is already in transit, so it's not like I can keep it or anything. And if you don't pay, that's fine. I will have the content for my next video, right? Alright fellas, thank you very much. Tom, thank you very much for your business. Since you have a repair shop as well, I hope I'll get more work from you. I'll give you a better price, if that be the case. But thank you for your business, guys. Thank you very much for watching and listening to my rants. I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall see you in the next one.